Okay, so we do have our guest live with us now. We have Jessica Kirsh. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Good,
Doing
Jessica,
great.
and yourself? Glad to have you here.
Doing good. Honored to be a part of this. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
It looks
this
like we're
is
wrapping up on the testing, but it's definitely a good time to have you. While we're actually still in the middle of it, and there's always something that could go wrong, and so there'll be fun things to talk about there too.
that's right. I've been watching it here up on my I'm in my trailer right now, and I've got my TV mounted on the wall, and I'm on my computer here, and I've got phones, and I have it pulled up on 3 or 4 different devices, so I've been trying to keep up as all of this is happening. This is very exciting. This is incredibly exciting.
We're
First
moving
ship
forward.
24 cryo test, yeah.
Yeah, we're moving right along. Yes.
It's been a while since we've actually had a good cryo test. Last time we did a cryo test, or the time before that, bad things happened. Then we had Booster 7 come back, do another cryo test, and that succeeded. But it was still just
Yeah.
like, ooh, there's always a
Right.
chance something could go wrong again.
Right. But we have to remember that that's the purpose of the testing. We are in a prototyping and testing process. So we want things to happen now as opposed to, when we're actually go for launch. Right?
Yeah, exactly. If
Absolutely.
you're not breaking things, you're not learning.
That's a story of life, right?
Yeah.
Yes. What a view, Rover Cam 2.0 I'm watching right now. Wow. What a view.
Yeah, the vehicle's been venting off and on, and the one thing that's the I guess something to learn at least for now is that they're not quite sealing the plates right still for the manhole cover on the LOX tank. It's still leaking quite a bit.
Oh, okay. So that's not just condensation.
No, it's not just condensation. It's kind of leaking. You can actually see there's a line going straight down
Okay.
where the liquid oxygen has been taking away the ice. So even though it's colder than the ice, it picks it up because it's boiling off. It's like, hey, you're ice. I like to boil way higher than you do. So you get to go away. And it's similar to if you take a pan if you just cook some eggs or something and it's still cooling down, but it's still kind of hot enough to boil a little bit of water. You're able
Mm-hmm.
to really get that cleaning action in the sink going just by putting a little bit of water in and just mixing it around and yeah, you'll be able to get the eggs off pretty quick. And the same thing's happening here with that ice.
We want
Ah,
we want to remind everybody, since we have a new guest, to if you have any questions for Jessica or Thomas, to ask at questions, and we will feed them to Jessica. And so remember, you can still ask questions.
bring
Well, it looks like we
on.
do have a request already for Jessica. I'm not sure if this is one you want to go for or not. Want to go for
Uh-oh.
that? Ask that question or request, so to speak, Philip?
Sing Frosty the Starship to us, Jessica, please.
Frosty the Starship was a very frosty ship. Right now it's detanking, and we're waiting for the results. Frosty the Starship, it looks so pretty and frosty. This is all made up as a sing-along. Next time you should join. Ta-da! Frosty the Starship. Who requested that? Good job, whoever requested that. Snaps in the chat. I sing that quite often. I sing a lot.
That was Andy Adler.
Andy Adler, thank you so much.
Now you know who to blame.
I love to sing. You gotta, sometimes it can get mundane, but a little more. Oh, there's a big vent right there. Big
Yeah, it's
vent
the
from the
it's
OLM.
it's yeah the orbital launch mount. Yeah, exactly. It's really strange that they keep venting the orbital launch mount.
Hmm.
It's like it's building up bubbles or pressure or something that they need to release,
Yeah.
and it's a part of the same systems for the tank. I'm sorry, the orbital fuel farm. So they do have the ship, the for the the Cryo Station's ship and booster Cryo Station, as well as the launch table, integration tower. They're all hooked up in parallel, but I don't know why they're using the booster side of things, because that should be completely separate from the ship side for a cryo test like this. The integration tower makes perfect sense, but the booster side, it just raises more questions. Maybe they're just running multiple tests in parallel.
Probably. They're probably trying to disguise.
Yeah, potentially they were testing the OLP originally, and now that side is filled with liquid, and they've got to vent it out and or pull it back into the tank, but they can't do it at the same time they're detanking the Starship. So they do have to vent the ullage gas to prevent a buildup of pressure in there too.
Yeah. Oh, there comes another big vent. Yeah. I've noticed, I think, in my opinion, it seems like there's a lot, or maybe I'm just noticing more since I'm just out there so often. They're doing a lot of things in stealth mode. Like,
oh, they definitely are.
Like simultaneously doing things or diverting attention in a certain place in order to go do something else.
Today, while we've had our testing, for instance, while they were starting this testing regime, they had a huge presentation at the build site. I don't know if you were aware of that or saw that, but it was
I heard from Zach. Yeah, I heard that there were lots of little feet behind. Yeah.
Yeah, they put the rings in front. They were trying to hide it, and at night, that's when they move the Raptors. They don't do it during the day; they do it at night. It's also colder at night, and that's easier to work in.
Yeah, and I've noticed that they haven't been lighting up, and I think maybe part of it's from the environmental review, but they haven't been, projecting as much light at night at the launch site on what they're working on, and it seems like it's not. Everyone's using headlamps, which they were using before. I call it headlampage, but you can actually see where everybody is moving around from their headlamps at night. It's a visual indicator of where the work's being done. And it's just very low-key stealth mode out there, I think. And yeah, I don't know. Good job, SpaceX. I mean, if you can get this stuff done with especially with people peering from afar 24 hours a day, or not from afar, you've got 4K cameras like Rover Cam 2.0, shout out to Lab. Providing these awesome views, and everybody that supports the channel as well.
The one thing I will say, if they are wanting to fill that basically PEA and environmental areas, they would stop using the light to blind out Rover 2 at night. Because it's only for Rover 2, it seems. Like, it's not aimed there normally.
That light was pointed at me. Well, not me, but I think they just point it wherever anything is set up. Because it was pointed in my direction the other night. I was out there, it was like 11 p.m. till 4:30 a.m. Two nights ago, I think. And the whole time it was pointed straight at me. Well, that direction. And I honestly just think it's just to light up that dark, because it's pretty dark. It gets really dark, especially over by the tank farm. And now with just those low-key yellowish sodium colored, whatever color temperature they are, lights that really mess with the the camera settings. But yeah, it gets pretty dark.
Yeah, those are a vapor sodium lights. It's dictated in the PEA stuff that's what they're going to use. So it's like that's what they are using apparently now, and they also have the mercury vapor lights, which those are the ones that are on the those little stands that they move around on the carts with the generator, and ones that blind us mostly. Whenever they want to move it around and blind us in a different area, they move that a little bit. And I know that in the past they've had people complain about the lighting issues, and so they've reduced the lighting basically pointed up towards the sky, because that's not doing them or the birds or the environment any good. So in the past they've fixed that issue pretty quickly, and And it's an issue that crops up and comes up over and over again, and they'll fix it repeatedly. But it's good to get that all kind of nailed down, and as a good sign of progress towards that environmental impact study, as well as everything else that they're doing here.
I mean, as a good neighbor, one of the things you don't want to do is to light up your neighbor's property so that they can read a book in the middle of the night. And
Right.
not that the turtles are reading much, but at the same time, it does bother them. And so ultimately, once the construction and the testing is done, I think the light levels here will change drastically to task lighting, like you said, is headlampage,
Yeah.
because that's what they need in that particular area, and maybe a small spotlight, depending on whether they're doing concrete work.
Right.
That'll cut back on the amount of light that this site produces.
You know, I was over was that last night? Gosh, everything seems to merge together. Before I start, really quickly, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Bring on the questions. I know that you all have been going for a long, long time, but make sure you put the questions in the chat. And also, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you're here and you're watching and you aren't enjoying it, then I don't know why you're still here. So hit that thumbs up button. I was at South Padre Island, Isla Blanca Park last night as they were doing what I thought was going to be a cryo test, but it ended up just being an ambient pressure test or of sorts. I looked around and I noticed that the lights, the color temperature of the lights throughout the park are that same, what do you call it, vapor?
Sodium vapor.
Okay. So, yeah, it absolutely makes sense that it's calmed down a little bit. It's definitely not quite as bright as it used to be, but that's okay. We want to move forward with the launch.
I have a couple questions here. One particularly directed at Jess. Jess, have you talked to the turtle girls down there?
I'm assuming they're referring to there's two different turtle people I can think of. One is there's a Hyundai Kona, like my Kona, that has a car wrap that says Sea Turtle Inc. I've only said, "Hey, nice Kona," and she's like, "Yeah, turtles," and that was it. I think she works for SpaceX, and obviously they're encouraged not to speak to anybody outside. The second turtle people is they're driving around on the gator carts with, I've seen a turtle shell, and then I've also seen a fish tail. Have you all seen the fish tail yet?
Fishtail's new to me, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen
New
a
to me
turtle
too.
shell.
Yeah, a couple weeks back, I was at the beach. I think it was a couple weeks ago, and it was a fishtail, and I was like, "What is that?" I think it was when big vent.
Oh,
Deep
double
breath
vent.
Ooh, yeah, push it out. There it goes. Yeah.
I'm gonna really ice up on that LOX tank now.
Wow, look at that. It looks like it's just fuming like. Yes. Look at those. Oh, that's so awesome. I love this. See, this is so exciting. Stuff's actually happening. Can't wait. We're moving forward.
Yeah, so the S24 is not completed yet. It still needs more tiles, and another thing that's going to get, I believe, are additional ullage thrusters at those two positions. So it's going to have the ability to do a bit more with the ullage thrusters off of those positions right there. It's beyond the windward side of the vehicle, but that is so cool.
That is magnificent. It's releasing its pressure, much like if you feel frustration inside, you have to release that pressure by speaking about it or doing what
It's
you do.
angry.
Yeah.
It's healthy to get rid of pressure.
That is correct. It's healthy. It is healthy. So ullage thrusters. Oh, there comes one off the. Oh, look at that one on one side. Pew 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 pew.
The other side is just barely still going. It's just a slight amount.
That's interesting.
Now it's just both are slight. It's really
Very slight.
weird that it's Yeah, these guys, they're like flaps, I thought.
Yeah,
That,
like,
you know, full open or closed, and the fact it's
Right.
still... Oh, there you go again.
There you go. Ooh, big one, big vent. Pushing out its side to, it's like, that's funny. Better out than in, that's right. Oh, yes. I see some familiar names in the chat. Yeah.
Anyway, that question about the Turtle Girls was Lasher 367th.
Okay.
Wes R., have you discussed the clang from early on in the test? What do you think? I missed part of the discussion.
Oh, the pop. We had a
Yes.
pop sound. To go back and look at my notes of when that occurred. But yeah, there's this loud pop. It was about 20 seconds after it vented. It could be that it was just the metal itself expanding or contracting a little bit. That'll make the pop sound that we heard. Let me look at the time frame I've got here.
I referred to it as a paper bag breaking or popping.
Oh,
and
okay.
then you said metal, and I said it was a metal paper bag. But it was not a bang like we heard when the pipe failed and the tiles flew off the other day. I think it happened to have been something that was anticipated. I don't think it was something that was catastrophic in nature, because nothing changed and they kept the process continuing. So it was not something that interrupted the test at all today.
So I heard it at 15:07 and 42 seconds on Rover 2 cam. There's that number 42. It just pops up everywhere.
Everywhere. That's what Elon says. It's everywhere.
Yeah, if you look for it, it pops up. I've seen
True.
numbers like that happen all the time. So it's always interesting to note. It's like, oh yeah, that's a common number. It'll happen over and over again because it's just a number. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like the lower end of the number, the more higher the frequency it is going to be. For instance.
There's a question from Tim Jones. What is the moaning in the tank farm right now? Now, this was from 6 minutes ago, which was right before that large pressure release. So it might have been associated with that. Now, I do not have ambient sound, so I did not hear that.
If you listen to it and it sounds like a whale, it is probably a valve opening or closing.
Oh gosh, I know what valve that is. It never stops. As I'm pulling my skin on my face downwards, my eyes are
Ooh, got another big vent, but this one's off the methane tank on, looks like 2 vents.
Oop, now we're pew 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 out the front. Look at that. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of power on those vents.
Yes.
I was walking probably 200 meters north of their property line, which is a pretty good distance, about halfway between Nerdlecam and their property. And I got a call from Grandpa Joe, who was out there, and said, security was just saying if that was you and if you could, move along because you're stopping testing of the vehicle. And they were worried that 15 that was there at the time, that if there was contaminants inside of the vehicle, it could basically shotgun those contaminants out and get me about that far away, or maybe they were fearful that I would walk towards the vehicle. I was just like, nope, I'm trying to get the sun and the vehicle in a perfect alignment. And I was pretty good far distance away, but yeah, I can understand where they're safety conscious and as much as they are, but it's still, the thought of it's that powerful that it can project stuff out that far potentially.
I mean, when they vent down there, the noise is incredible, to the point that sometimes they will announce on the PA system that there's going to be a large vent on the suborbital farm or the orbital launch tower or something like that, so that people don't get shocked by the noise of the vent taking place, because it can be quite startling.
So what kind of announcements have you heard when you're down there, Jessica, that really stand out?
Wah, 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 wah. Attention on the pad. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry. I hear that a lot. Let's see. Well, most of them are related to venting. There have been times where there's high wind or there's lightning in the area, and those will be very urgent. They're very urgent sounding, or when they clear the pad because of high winds or lightning strikes.
Yeah.
I think October 1st, 2021, when we had basically everywhere flooded, or not everywhere, but a lot of low-level places flooded. We had just tremendous rain. The storm cell just sat over the area for, I don't know, 16 hours, 18 hours. So much rain. My trailer park where I live, it flooded a good foot, something even more. But that day they cleared the pad, and it was very clear that everybody needed to get off, and they weren't allowing people back in, and that's probably the most interesting. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Have you heard the one that goes along the lines of "Step away from the vehicle. The vehicle is not safe."
Oh no, I haven't heard that. I've heard like everybody keep 300 feet perimeter, yeah, 300 feet from the OLM or 300 feet from the. But I haven't heard any like not safe, anything like that.
I've heard that one once. It was still just like, wow, that's a weird one. And this was ship 20, I think, or maybe it would be ship 20 or booster 7. That this was some sort of testing on, and they had a large, loud announcement that kind of repeated itself because somebody was approaching the vehicle while it was in a state that it wasn't safe, apparently. So it's like, yeah, you could be around that area, but being as close to the vehicle as they were getting, they were now out of the safety limits that they have. So they had to put that off. I've seen workers on site when they've done all sorts of unusual testing. So an ignition, not really ignition, igniter testing, for instance. Have you seen them do that where they, I think it was this with Booster 4, that it had just a little bit of methane, about the equivalent of 29 barbecues light all at once, and just this massive flame ball come out the bottom.
I was not on site, meaning I was not at the launch site when that happened. There were other people that did capture it, and I wish I was there. But
it only happened twice, I think.
And it's like a split second.
Yeah. And there were still workers on site, so you don't know anything about it beforehand until like a countdown starts, and 30 seconds later it's a little flame ball.
And there were people on site that were relatively close to it, and they didn't like clear the pad or anything, so they knew it was not going to be particularly dangerous, but it was certainly would wake you up if you weren't aware of it.
Yeah. Well, basically be like somebody turned on their grill, didn't turn it off, and then hit the igniter, and woof, little flame goes up about 10 or so feet.
With big methane tanks standing by, woof, isn't the word, the noise I want to hear.
Speaking of that, who's excited? Who's excited for the first static fire?
Oh!
Getting close.
Oh, I feel like we're just so close. It's just keep swimming, We're almost there.
I get the wet dress rehearsals. Oh, the puck shucking wet dress rehearsals with the engines attached. We're so close. We are weeks away from that happening. Maybe even less than that. I mean, if this is successful, as it looks like it is so far, I haven't really heard anything more than just that little pop, which could just be the metal expanding or contracting. Yeah, we just go from that to a nice and get a good pace going. Well, actually, Elon just posted it passed Cryo.
So we had a successful test. That's good to hear. Excellent.
Can we get some clap emojis in the chat or some kind of, even if you don't feel like searching through the emojis, trust me, I understand. You can put a dot in the chat for a woo woo. Woo woo. Yeah.
Another checklist, another thing off of Grandpa Joe's checklist.
There we go. I see the clap emojis coming in. Dan R, VS Studios. Woo woo. Yes, there we go. Sharp baby. Yes, successful test. This is so exciting. We're moving forward. This is so exciting. Yes.
Your enthusiasm, Jessica, is just absolutely amazing. I love it every time I watch one of your streams.
And it's contagious. It's good.
It is. It's
Well,
absolutely contagious.
Thanks. The curiosity of a child. This stuff is just so cool. It's so inspiring, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, so today we did pass part of the PEA stuff, which is boring, but it means one step closer. We've got the cryo that passed. So really it's just down to some static fires of the ship, the booster, and then basically a launch. I mean, it just sounds so simple when you bring it down to that level.
Just those three things. That's it.
Yeah.
We're ready to go. Okay. We're going to be on Mars and by just Christmas. The Shard Baby has a question here, and I think it's pretty much for Jessica. What is the most noticeable difference between streaming at day and streaming at night?
Ooh, Shard Baby. That's a great question. The most noticeable difference is, the most obvious would be the temperature. It's a little bit cooler at night. My opinion, things are so much easier to see at night. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I feel with the light and I don't have a big hat on my head and sunglasses and all these things that are obstructing my view, I guess, or my ability to look through my little viewfinder. I'd probably say just visually is the most noticeable difference, besides the temperature. Does that answer your question?
Well, the other thing is that the colors at night under the lights are more intense. Like, for instance, when the large crane was there, and the reds and the yellows, and all of that against the tower. I've been fortunate enough to have been down there twice, one for SN15 and then back for Crowfest back in October, at the end of October, after the rainstorm, thank goodness. And I remember that the colors are crisper, and there's not as much haze when it's cool. So everything's a little bit sharper, and there are less people asking crazy questions.
You said it, I didn't.
Well, they're not crazy questions.
No.
But there's
Is there a launch today?
Yeah, exactly. Those questions aren't there. But
Is that a rocket?
What are you filming? And I appreciate people asking, and but yeah, it's definitely a lot more. It's easy. I'm gonna watch what I say. It's much easier to conduct a stream during the nighttime without as many, not interruptions. That's not the word. Just if I'm explaining something, or if I thought in my head and then somebody steps right in front of the camera, what are you doing? It's just sometimes it derails, and then the thought never gets finished, and yeah. So not that it's bad. Please, if you're visiting Starbase, please come up, say hello. I would love to meet you. Let's take a selfie, share it on social media. I always encourage. It's just yeah, especially when I'm getting ready to stream. So I already have the attention span of a fly, right? So when I'm setting up and unwinding all my cables, if anybody has seen the back of my car, you've seen the mess of cables. Everything is just everything, and just trying to get everything set up, and I usually will politely ask, I would love to answer your questions. I just first need to get live. Because if I don't get live, then it just won't happen. So then I'll,
You'll spend like half an hour standing there talking to somebody while you're not actually getting anything done.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like...
And you can do that. You can talk to them while they're on stream. You want to do a stream? Okay, come on over.
Yeah. If you want to... I'm going to be live. If you'd like to ask your question, the whole world would love to hear it. So, I mean, I would like, anybody that's listening would love to hear it. It's part of the engagement and the community aspect of it.
Yeah, my good friend Dave, you interviewed him the other day.
Dave!
You know Dave.
Dave Avery!
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave Avery! Yes. Yep. Yes.
He's in the other channel now, helping direct questions to us right now. And it's always fun because, he has so much knowledge on this stuff too. He's in aerospace. He works on stuff like this a little bit. But yeah, it was really fun to see him on your stream the other day. And it was just like... Hey, there's somebody I know I talk to all the time. Just like Phil Kid and everybody else here. It's just really fun to have somebody actually down there talking with you and answering some great questions. And the fun thing is for you and just listening to Dave when he was on site, is people ask these simple questions, but it's like, that's a really good question. I haven't thought of this one before. Yeah. So having those questions are really, really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody brings their own knowledge base, so our ability to communicate with one another about what we're looking at is really important. Dave Avery, shout out to you. You have a tremendous breadth of knowledge on so much, not just about rockets, just everything in general. And you were really, it was fun. He helped me guest host my second. I interviewed him during the first one, and then he helped me guest host my second stream of that day. That was, I think, my birthday, or after my birthday. But yeah, that was really fun. That was a really fun day.
Yeah, you've got some really good interviews. I remember watching even Shard Baby. Shard Baby. He's on the stream like back in December.
Yes.
Oh, some really good streams there.
Yes. Steven will be back. He'll be back. He's coming for 30 days. So we're going to have him.
Wow.
We're going to have him starting, I think, June 24th. He'll be back.
Does that mean there's a launch on June 20th? Is that why Shard's coming back for the launch?
I don't know.
Does he know something we don't know?
I don't know. I think he's just coming, and we're excited to see him and do Shard Baby interview round 2. For anybody that hasn't seen Steven's interview, one of my moderators, Nick Lovell, who's actually in the chat, he's been doing my edits, and he does brilliant work, in addition to all the other stuff that he does. He did an edit of Shard Baby's interview, so it's in the subscriber edits. So if you go to my channel, the very first list, subscriber edits, and you'll see Steven's face. So I encourage you to watch it. It's Steven in the raw, and it is awesome. It's just really awesome to capture people's honest and just raw emotional reaction to what they're looking at in front of them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, my first experience and a lot of others' experiences, you look at it and it's like, it's only that big? But then you kind of look at it and go, how far away am I? Oh my gosh, that's huge. Like, perspective, when you finally get down there, it shifts and changes dramatically. Because a lot of these people have a lot of really good zoomed in photos and you think things are closer than they are, but you get a massive shift and change of perspective and time. Like with lab streams, you have so many you can go through. You can be 1 second looking at Rover Cam and see what's going on over there, and then Rover 2, you're at the launch site, and you didn't have to spend good 15 minutes going from one site to the other. You're just right there, just looking at it all.
I actually have a question from a technical nature here from Miguel Angelo Custodio Lobo. Hello, I would like to know, once the thermal tile is installed, how much is the added weight? Thanks and regards.
We don't have an exact number. We have a guesstimate it's an older one. And I think it was Shard Baby, actually, who said, he had the slightest sliver of a heat shield tile that was found on the ground or something. I can't remember who it was now.
I
But,
believe that. It was probably Shard. Yeah.
Yeah. So the shard baby has a shard of a heat shield tile. But really all we need is a weight and then a volume, just using water will be able to give you a volume of that. And we'd be able to figure out an exact weight down to pretty much the tile of how much the tiles weigh. But the best guess we saw was about 10 metric tons, which is a guess. Without actually getting a measurement of a real tile and seeing what the volume of that and the weight of that would be. So really the density, we don't have a really good measurement on that yet.
And SpaceX doesn't hand them out at the corner for us to look at.
I actually heard a story about that for the space shuttle. They did just hand off space shuttle tiles that were defective because they knew the Russians wanted samples of those. And so they were giving out the defective ones, and they made this Buron that was highly defective on the tiles, and it's like a miracle that he even made it back.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, they already had a lot of the blueprints from NASA directly of the shuttle. They used the university systems to get a lot of that.
It's slightly very similar in character and in nature, isn't it? Talking about people in space, Anthony Powell had a question. Will there be anyone inside the craft when it takes off?
Eventually, but not anytime soon, right?
Unless there's a stowaway, we're probably, a good 10, 100 flights before we'll see human rating?
A stowaway, like a mosquito? Because that would suck.
Wow, the poor mosquito is going to go for a
Poor mosquito, what? Poor mosquito, more mosquitoes.
That's the difference between nighttime streaming and daytime streaming. You get more mosquitoes at night, right?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, they've been doing a really great job with the spraying, and they have these stations around. They're green, and they
propane tanks or
Thank
something
you.
like that,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I know that there's one right by what I used to think was a propane tank. Turns out it's a buoy. Do you all know that?
Oh, the ship buoy. The ship buoy.
I thought that was a propane tank the whole time.
Me too, at the first time, and then I got there, and somebody's like, that's not a propane tank, that's a buoy for a ship. It's like, what is it doing here? Exactly.
I mean, it's big. It wasn't until they took the cactus, there's a prickly pear cactus that was growing into it, and they removed that. I mean, maybe when I saw it when Booster 7 was rolling back up to the, I think that's when I saw it, like a couple weeks ago. Someone was like, yeah, that's not a propane tank. I was like, what? I feel like I've been gypped. I say, meet me at the propane tank all the time or whatever. People just, don't correct me.
And it just says, welcome to Boca Chica.
Yeah. Yep.
Maria Pointer pointed that out to us. It's where the hard stop is right by the restaurant, the SpaceX restaurant, and the satellite dishes it's right at that intersection up there. And Maria Pointer pointed out to us that it was not a propane tank, but a ship fender.
She's got some good, really, really great knowledge, Maria. She is amazing. She gives great tours and brings people from all over the world, shows them around, and obviously she was, one of the first people when SpaceX came in. So, yeah. And she worked in the Navy, so she would know what that exactly
She was a pilot, a ship's pilot that brought ships like the Kitty Hawk up the channel. And I'm not sure whether she worked in South Padre or the Brownsville ship canal, but I know she was a pilot. That's a very important job for bringing ships. Every ship has to have a pilot on board to dock. Quite a bit of requirements.
What a legend.
I have a new member, Danielle's Weather Space Station. Welcome to LabPadre Gold, Danielle's. Appreciate you joining and becoming a member. And remember, if you have any questions to ask us at questions, remember to like us and subscribe if you're looking at your screen, and check that little thumb mark and let us know how well you enjoy our program. And we look forward to bringing it to you, and make sure you click the bell so that you know when we are coming back live again, or we're doing more testing, so that you can come join us anytime that we're here.
So it looks like we're almost done detanking, at least for the visible area. You can see there's barely any locks left on that bottom line there. We can see just a tiny bit of condensate, or maybe that's just a shadow from the other side. I think I've seen a shadow. So yeah, it's just ice from earlier. Well, it was basically blowing its vents. It ices up again. It's not refilling at that point. We made that mistake, I think, the first time that happened. We thought, oh, it's retanking. Nope, it's detanking.
Yeah, it's just from the pressure release and the chilling by the reduced pressure. There's a question from Gray Mask. Stainless steel on a Starship, is it different than that of a Cybertruck?
That's a really good question. In terms of thickness?
I would imagine it would be, from a thickness standpoint. From a material standpoint,
Okay, so I just had to do a quick Google on this. So Elon Musk did confirm it's a 300 series stainless steel, but he didn't say if it's 304L or 301. They're within the family of stainless steel, but it's not the exact same stainless steel unless you get 304L, which L means low carbon, and the 304 just has the a different amount of manganese and magnesium and a bunch of other elements that help change the quality of the stainless steel to make it that particular kind of stainless steel. So I assume it's just a stainless steel type and variety. Unfortunately, none of the stainless steel we're aware of that gets recycled from the Starships goes to any of the future Cybertrucks yet.
Not yet.
Want that. I want that. I want a Cybertruck available that's made of actual stainless steel parts of Starship. Because then it's like, hey, this is from SN15 or Mark 1 or whatever. That would be incredible to have some of that material. Even if it's been remelted down or something, it's like, this is a part of history. I like that.
Well, keep tweeting it, because, especially right now, as SN16 sits in 4 pieces. Last I heard, last I checked. Keep tweeting. Just tweet.
They should make the glove box out of it, and then with the serial number of the ship on the glove box lid.
Ooh,
That'd be nice.
I like where your head's at. Yes.
It doesn't have to be, the entire thing doesn't have to be made of Starship material, just only a small part.
Yeah.
It's, $10,000 right there for that small part. It's a collector's item.
What if they made mugs? Coffee mugs? Wouldn't that be... Or thermoses. There's so much that can be made from it. But I understand. There could be contaminants in it. I get it. As I fail, I'm just hoping and wishing.
SpaceX at Starbase, they need a gift shop. They could make so much money on doing a gift shop, selling like gifts and snacks, and they could even do bathrooms. That would be great for the public part.
Oh my God! You just said the word bathrooms. What I wouldn't do for a public restroom.
Yeah, when I was down there last year, our friend Chuck, he was not taking some particular medicine that it does make him need to use the bathroom, and it nearly killed him because of that. He had a heart attack. I was with him at the hotel. I had to call 911 to get him, and it was because of their lack of public restrooms at Starbase. And we were there to visit Starbase, to see Starship. We love Starship, and it was, really touch and go there for a little bit, and it was a hard situation because there was no facilities. So yeah, it's one of those things where I wish they would get a gift shop, or somebody would put something up with the restrooms. Even if they are paid restrooms, it would be so much better than it currently is.
I would pay money to use the restroom. I would. I say that a lot on stream.
I would too. I've been down there for 8 hours and wished I had one.
Oh my gosh. There are days, yeah. Oh gosh, what I wouldn't do for a coffee and restrooms. Food would be great too, but coffee and restrooms. I've got water, I've got air conditioning, because in some kind of shelter. Beside, the car, or anyways.
Maybe a food services truck with a portable trailer for restrooms at the back.
That's right.
That might work.
That's right. That's right.
You get everything done there. So.
Yep. One-stop shop.
Do you have a business idea? That would be a good one for going down to Starbase. I'm so excited we're wrapping up testing, not just because it's, the end of the testing. That's cool. It's what's next. We've talked about this, that we are going basically from here to test stand A. We're going to do some puck shucking with a little bit more cryo. Then we're going to do a series of static fires after that, and then we'll have Booster 7 out shortly as well. And it's going to be doing a bunch of testing, static fires, all of that stuff. And yeah, it's just a couple of little things that have a lot of elements below that will get us to that orbital launch. And that's huge. It's the biggest rocket, so it is literally huge. But yeah, this is so much fun.
So, given this successful test, according to Elon on Twitter, I have not looked, but people in the chat are saying this. How long do you expect in between now and the shucking of the puck?
We're probably within the week. Like, all you have to do is move Marvin over to a position that it can move Ship 24. Well, it needs to be rolled over to the test stand A. They pick up Ship 24. That's all within a day. Put it onto test stand A, still within the day. Then they could do testing within a day or two of that. It's not going to take long to get all that set up and ready. It's just all of those elements have to align, and it has to be not on a weekend. Like, you can't do testing on Saturday or Sunday. They are allowed a certain amount of closure hours, but they get hit and docked for that, and it's like a day or two, and it's usually reserved for emergencies. So if they have a vehicle that's filled with propellant but it won't release properly, they have to sit there and let it gas off for the next few days until they can safely bring people back to the pad. So
Thomas,
yeah,
it's actually going to be easier than that. All they need to do is put the transporters underneath. It's already on a transport stand, so all they have to do is put the transporters underneath and move it up to A, and Bucky and Marvin's already there waiting for it.
Yeah, I skipped the SPMTs, but yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, they don't need to bring Marvin down to lift it off. It's already on the transport stand for movement.
Marvin, it needs to be moved using Marvin to be put onto test stand A, and yes, we can do that.
Yeah, I think Marvin's already positioned for that.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a matter of moving it up and picking it up off the STMPs and stacking it, putting it on the pad A. So one little step out of that's already completed.
So Marvin's there, check. It's just bring over Ship 24, and we're good to go.
Yep.
Is it just me, or is anybody else having trouble keeping the numbers and all the numbers? So ship, blah, blah, blah. I'll go by the high bay. I'm like, ship is in the high bay. And I have to do a timeline check in my brain, like, okay, what was moved, what was...
This is why they should have names. Like, this one is Gary, This one is James. This one's Jessica over here. It's got your name
Heyo.
sake. You know?
That's right. Thank you for including me in those names.
And they all start with J, apparently.
It is difficult to keep track of them, and it really gets confusing when they skip a number. You know, like we went to 15 and then there was 16, but what happened to 17 and 18?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
okay.
confusing. Really confusing, right? Yeah.
Same reason that 7 was afraid of, or let's see, 6 was afraid of 7 because 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Ha.
Wow.
Okay. I have very little knowledge on the puck shucking process. Can you just give me a quick detail on what happens in the? It's called
Sure.
puck shuck. I know what the.
That's a puck shuck.
puck
You don't
is.
shuck the puck. So
I
yeah,
can't-
it's
I came from Indiana
Elon.
where there's cornfields and we shuck the corn stalks.
it's exactly that
Corn.
reason.
Okay.
It's exactly that reason because they don't want to puck or shuck the puck. That's why they call it puck shucking. So it's like it's just the opposite of what they intend to do is why they call it puck shucking. So if it's shucked, it means that it split open like you did with shucking the corn. And it's also the same reason why I call it the can crusher. It's not supposed to crush the can. It can, but it's not supposed to.
Oh, really? I've always
Yeah.
thought the can crusher was like to test the pressure of and see if it crushes like an aluminum can. Rah.
Well, if it does, it's failed.
Okay. Okay. All right. So it's
Now,
the,
Thomas,
it's opposite.
Be
Yeah.
technical. Be technical. It's not an unicorn. It's a Starship. What
Yes.
does it do?
So the puck shucker, what it does is it has hydraulic rams. So it's just those pistons that push up and down. And in this case, they push up on the vehicle while the vehicle's being held down on the test stand. It pushes up the same amount as you would for a Raptor engine. So the Raptor engine, each one produces at current was like 230 metric tons of thrust. They're going up to 250 with the Raptor 2s as well. But it's able to really push up there and simulate that thrust. So it's a thrust simulator. That's a better name for it to describe to people who are new to the idea of a puck shucker, but it's a thrust simulator. And it does it for all 6 engines. So we've got 3 sea level and 3 vacuum. And that's all it does is just pushes up on the vehicle to simulate the thrust.
Okay.
And the puck is what the engines mount to.
Yes.
Okay. Michelle in the chat says she calls it a thrust simulator, which is what, yeah, you just said. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, that's it's going to be interesting because they're going to go through and use the thrust simulator to not shuck the puck, but make sure that it stays where it's at. Every time they change the design of that puck, they need to do another puck shucker test. They need to make sure they don't shuck it, because if it does, then it's like, no, this is no good. We took away too much material or added too much stuff or did something wrong. We got to start over again. There's always some element that might break. We've had welds break and leak, or have a minor leak, and so that's what Elon will go through and tweet about every once in a while. There's something like that happens. But right after that, they will basically take everything down because, yes, it's passed the test, and while it's under there, or on the test stand, they will remove all of those hydraulic rams as it is, and that basically takes less than half a day. So it's very quick, and then they start bringing in all 6 engines, the sea levels and the vacuum Raptors. They'll just put them right up in there, and they'll use the Raptor lift trucks that are over at Sanchez, I think, to do that. That's what they have done historically, and they still have those trucks, so I suspect they will reuse those. So looks like everything's kind of wrapped up on the Starship side. It's just a little bit of hissing, and all that's left is them to open up the pad and the road again.
Yeah, they still have the road shut down, and but there's nobody from SpaceX there that is in queue to come down the road.
We've seen that before, where there's nobody, needing to go down to the pad immediately. Which camera are you watching for that at the moment? I can't remember if it's Sentinel or Lab.
Hold on. It is Lab.
Okay.
I like Corwin's comment. Corwin90 says, I've always imagined it as a big push-up pop. Remember push-up pops?
Oh, yeah, as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what it does. It's just,
It's a
hydraulics.
push-up pop with 6 sticks.
Yeah, it's kind of an incredible system to think about how they set this all up, how they're reusing everything from a stand that's pretty much the same as it was from Mark 1. There's a lot of changes, but they're rapidly changing their testing regimes, their vehicles, to really match the pace of innovation and change for everything that they're doing. So they want to reduce weight, they got to change a part. They need a new testing system to do that. But it's not going through and throwing everything away and making a brand new system. It's changing what they have existing. And oh, that's a cute cat. Jessica's showing her cat to us here in the live stream.
Stella has arrived. She's like, what are you all doing? Why are you watching rockets all the time?
Yeah, why aren't you paying attention to me?
Well, for now, it looks like since everything's almost wrapped up, it's just the sheriffs and open up the road at this point. Do you guys want to call it the end of the stream?
Yeah, I think so. At this point, all they're going to do is wait for the vehicle to be completely safe before they open everything up, and we're done testing until we hang up, and then they'll start again.
We have until
Of
10.
course.
They've done that on us. They've done that on us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a big vent right there from the OLM.
Yeah.
Yeah, parallel testing. That's what that has to be.
That's right. Well,
And
thank
that's
you
nice
so
to
much.
have.
Thank you so much for having me on. This has been such a treat.
Thanks for joining us. It was a pleasure having you. It's been come back again whenever you can. And it's always nice to have somebody, a fresh face and a fresh sound.
Yay!
Thomas and I get
Thank you.
tired of each other.
I understand. I understand. Well, I appreciate this, and thank you so much, everybody in the chat.
Thank you, Jessica, for joining us again, and you're always welcome back on the stream whenever we're here doing any streaming. This is always great to have you. All right, with that, do you want to go ahead and wrap up, Philip, or should I?
Why don't you go ahead? You're much better at it than me.
Lists of names here, so this will take a second. But let's see here. It's going to be a bit. So we've got their the mods: Adam Danoon, Oracle, Chef Daddy, Rusty Buckets, and then we've got our Discord and YouTube mods: Daryl, MVN, Stumpy001, Discord mods: 61 Naps, Carter 200, Dragon 029, Har, Levi, Rovi, Tablano, The Danks, myself, TG, Tomzy7. And we've got our YouTube mods: Astro CJ42, Bogdan C, Davo, Dave W, Film Jim, Galactic Jeff, Gridleak, Jamie Valks, Latchy, Larry and Waterloo, Levi, Liverpool Ed, Matt W, Michael McKenzie, Neil O'Matic, Nick Feisler, Psychonaut421, Rowan, Scott Stubbs, Scotty, and Zen Dragons. And then we'd also like to thank our sponsor. So I'll have to pull those up too as I bring the sponsors up. So we have our sponsors: Sapphire Condominiums, Isla Grand Beach Resort, Pearl South Padre Resort, the finest accommodations on South Padre Island. I'd also like to thank the wonderful city of South Padre Island for their continued extended support to LabPadre. I'd like to also thank Inet Weather, Cadmium Networks, and WiFiStand.com, Access Communications, and a special thank you to SpaceX, because they do awesome stuff. Then we can't forget our big sponsors, Stumpy 001, Film Gym, Foom, and Crow Guy. And thank you for all their support. And also definitely another shout out to Jessica for coming on the stream again with us today. This is actually the first time I've been on stream with you with RGV, so to me it's the second time. But yes, thank you again. And also shout out to Lab, because without him, none of these awesome cameras would be here. And so definitely put a shout out to everybody to thank them, and especially Lab by putting up a thumbs up or some clapping hands in the comments here as well. And again, thank you so much, Philakid, and we had an animal earlier with us, and Jessica. Would you each like to say goodbye?
Bye, everybody. I'm going to echo that. Put some clap emojis in the chat. Woo woo. Thanks so much for everybody who joined. Clap emojis, clap emojis. Thanks again for having me.
Good night, everybody. Have a good day, and hope to see you again soon. Very soon, hopefully.